Well, it's 4:20 now. I've been going for nearly 3.5 hours. I've got 8 prints altogether, and these 4 which show as a print from each individual plate. I've discovered quite a lot over the afternoon, so that's good. I've been working completely on newsprint because I was just trying out my colours. I'll work on better paper tomorrow. I'm really quite pleased with this one. It's attractive. I need to work on cleaning up the plates a bit and just tidying up the cutting. But I really like the colours on this one. There's no red except for some that was dropped into the face and brushed on. And I'm thinking I can amend the hand on that by just working a little bit with the red plate, and maybe just using the red plate to put in small areas. The background colour, the key plate, I made up by mixing the red, yellow and blue that I've been using, or well, pink, yellow and blue. So I've ended up with a sort of purpley brown background, which I think probably looks better than black. That would be pretty harsh. This one is the first one I did with the key plate, and that's come out quite dark. It's also showing me areas that I need to cut away. But again, on this one with that second brick down, I like the brush stroke effect, and I'll try and retain that. This one I worked by wiping clean areas of the key plate, so the background and the space under the arm have been wiped away and cleaned, and I started to like the look of the doll sort of standing out from the background more. Also, it hasn't detracted from the feeling of light. In fact, if anything, it's increased it. And as chiaroscuro was the original aim of the exercise, I think the lighter background works quite well. This one particularly as well, because it puts the doll's face in shadow. This is a really mucky print. What did I think was good about this one? Oh yes, this one. This one I'd lined it up by eye just to see if I could do it rather than using my registration plate. Because if I'm going to do the tessellation and print 9 prints together, that's going to have to be the way that I line them up. So it's a very mucky print because the key plate was getting dirty. That obviously need to keep that cleaned and washed off in between. It'll only take so many prints before it needs a clean up. But again, the wiping out has increased in effect because those areas haven't been inked at all. So, and this last one was just by way of a measure to see the effect of the others, because this has got no key plate on at all. It's just a mixing of the 3 colours. Again, the area of the white and the sort of burning out on the shoulder where I quite like the effect of exposed whites that have been defined by other colours rather than having everything outlined. So again, I've got some pretty strong outlines on the sleeve, whereas actually I don't need all of those. The actual colours around make those outlines, so I might think about overnight taking out some of the cutting altogether on my key plate so that I'm not working with outlines around everything. Okay, but overall, yeah, quite a successful afternoon. So that's that. That's all my prints. They do look attractive from a distance. Well, hopefully they look quite attractive close to as well. But they make a nice splash of colour, and I think once I get them tessellated as well, so that there's a big bold area with the lines running between them, I think they're going to come up quite well. I've got the rest of them hanging up there. So overall, that was first go with the aqua inks. I'm pleased with what I've done. I kept notes as I was going through of what worked and what didn't. I think I've sprayed my wood with water. I should have brought my moon paper, which is thinner. I'll bring that with me tomorrow. I had a bit of a panic about the registration because I'd used the front and backs of blocks as to whether that would cause me problems, but that was okay. I registered everything by the head corner. I used drops of retarder in my ink, but I also found later on that watering it down worked well as okay. On my plates, when I was cutting them, I'd used watercolour crayon, so as soon as I dampened the plates, I got residue colour, so I had to wipe that away. That's something to remember for next time. I've been printing wet on wet, so the colour leaches onto the block, so particularly when I was working with yellow, the blues and reds tend to leave a residue, so again I had to be careful with cleaning up. That worked well with the red and yellow because it actually gave me the idea for sort of mixing the colours on the plate. I need some more brushes. I've got this little brush here for I've got individual brushes for the inks, but I've only got one cleaning up brush. I could do with one for each colour. I've been washing it out in between and that worked okay, but I'll keep my eye open and see if I can find some shoe brushes or something. What else? Oh yeah, I've got one on my yellow block. I had to do a repair where I'd cut something by mistake and I glued the bit back in, but I did notice that is leaving a bit of a mark, so I haven't got that absolutely flat. Oh, the newsprint's been wrinkling a bit when I've added the third colour. That's just because it's flimsy paper. Hopefully that problem will be solved tomorrow when I'm using better paper. My registration block was beginning to warp because I've made it out of mount board and it was taking the dampness out of the paper. I've solved it by putting a bit of newspaper down, and also when I'm inking up my block I keep it on a piece of newspaper so that any residue dampness is taken up then rather than going into my registration block. And yeah, adding the gouache in to make pastel colours. I really wasn't sure how that would work, but that's been a successful experiment and that's come up well. I might try that tomorrow and do one with a print in pale pastels with the yellow, blue and pink. So I didn't want to ruin all my colours this afternoon, and I'm run out of time and energy at the moment, but that again would make it look a very different print if it was in pastels, so that would be a good variation to submit. So okay, happy with that. Good afternoon. Just need to clean up now. Today it's Wednesday the 25th of February. I'm back in the print workshop. I've been here for 2.5 hours this morning, and what I've done is marked up my prints of each individual colour with the areas that needed tidying up or recutting. So it's taken me 2.5 hours to recut, but I've done my key plate and the red plate, the yellow, which doesn't show up terribly well, but with this one I had the idea of using an emery board to sand this off, so I've ruined my nail file, but I'll have to go to Boots at lunchtime and replace that, but that seemed to work quite well. It's taken all the rough off so that hopefully I'll get a really white area, and the blues probably had the most drastic recutting because I've had to recut around here, and I've just noticed as I'm doing this bit's still a bit rough, so I just need to tidy that up. I'm going to go and have some lunch now, and then this afternoon I'll get on with printing again. So yeah, good morning's work. It's been lovely being in the workshop. I've had 3 other people here, 2 doing etching and 1 doing dry points, so it's been good sharing of practice and good company with other printmakers. Okay, so I'm ready to print now, and what I've done is used a picture frame on top of my registration board, because one of the problems I had yesterday was the differential between the size of the block and the depth of the block and the paper. The paper was having to lift too far off the surface, which made the registration a bit shaky. So by adding this frame, and then I can register the paper into this corner here, I can keep the paper a lot flatter, and hopefully my registration will be more accurate. Okay, it's taken me about 2.5 hours. I've got 17 individual prints on a mixture of Hoshi paper and the moon paper, and I've got 2 on cartridge paper because I wanted to try that out for my large print. And if you come over here with me, this is on A1 size cartridge paper, and there's 9 plates wood printed in the first colour. It's gone reasonably well. One of the plates slipped slightly. I've got a bit of a double image, but not to the point where I need to start again, and I think once the other colours are on, that will be all right. I managed to put one of the plates on upside down. Thankfully, because it was cartridge paper and watercolour ink, I managed to rinse it off carefully, wiped it with a damp sponge, and it came off beautifully, and I let it dry a bit, and then I've reprinted it the correct way up. But overall, I'm quite pleased with the way that's looking now. The wonderful Gainsborough's house garden. It's Friday the 27th of February. There's other printmakers in the workshop, and I'm too shy to sit and do this in front of them, but I've done some photographs to show you. I'm really loving my large A1 size prints with the 9 blocks on. I haven't got an absolutely perfect one yet. I've got one on cartridge paper, one on Hahnemuller paper. Wondering whether to do one on Somerset, but actually I could do that at home. Yeah, that's my answer. Yes, to carry on and try and do that at home. So while I'm over here today, I need to finish off what I've got. So I've got 2 times 9. No, I've got 2 times 9 left on one to do, 3 times 9 left on another, and 17 individual prints that need the key plate on, 3 of which also need yellow on. So it's 11 o'clock now. I've probably can stay till about 5 tonight, so I've got my work cut out to do with what I've got. Yeah, actually this has helped talking this through. I'll have another go with Somerset paper at home and see if I can get an absolutely perfect job done, but today I'll concentrate on finishing off what I've started. But it's been a brilliant week, and really nice to have met a good range of other printmakers doing all sorts of work, and it's been a week of familiarising myself with using the workshop independently, and being able to come over and work. So lovely. And look at this glorious sunshine. How lovely is that? Just show you around the garden while we're here. Print workshop is there. And then there's the shop and Gainsborough's house itself. And the garden with the most famous mulberry tree. Well, what I've spent the morning doing is adding the red colour to this blueprint, and I'm pleased with that. It's come up. It's come up nicely and completely differently to the pale pink and blue. And while I've been doing that, I've been musing on the how attractive it is at some stages. So I want to go ahead and finish the whole thing and make the sort of the brilliance and excitement of having the completed picture, but I'm also losing what is some really nice patterns on the way. They would almost stand alone as pieces of work in their own right. So having had that thought, I then realised that what I could do is do another panel of 9, do a complete picture in the middle, and round the outside do different stages. So I could have 4 panels showing each individual plate, and then 4 incomplete panels. So I've mapped that out on the famous back of an old envelope, how that would work, and that's what I'm starting to do now. And I've got a piece of Somerset velvet paper in brilliant white. I've soaked it because I found that working with the Hannah Ruler paper when it was wet helped. I ruined my first piece because I was too impatient, and although I'd soaked it, I didn't leave it long enough to get damp before I started printing on it, and I've completely ruined it. So I've had to put that upstairs in the dryer, and I'll have to use the paper up for other things. But I've been more patient this time, got my paper to the right stage of dampness, and I'm in the process of printing. I've drawn out just a very faint pencil grid so that I know where to put the plates, because this time I won't always have something else to butt it up against and measure it with.